So I'm doing my best, right? Everyone told me that The Outer Worlds was a great RPG, that it was well worth the time and money, and that I would enjoy it immensely. Basically, Obsidian's sequel or follow-up to Fallout New Vegas and everything but the name, lore, and there's no open world, but that's okay. Not everything has to be open world to be good, right? Right? Some would say it's arguably the best Fallout game in years, right? I can't say that with confidence. I want to like it, and I'm trying desperately to get through it, and I've ended friendships, relationships, and quit my day job all in service of getting this game completed. You might say ended relationships seems hardly worth it for a video game. Well, you're correct. Because none of that was true. I was being dramatic. It took so long for me to get The Outer Worlds because I just didn't have time for it, and I didn't want to buy something I didn't have time for. Finally, I saw it on sale at Best Buy for $25 and thought, it's time to invest. Let me get this game, I'll start it, I'll put all my time into it, and then I'll come out here and tell everyone how great that I think it is. Truth be told, the reason this is a review in progress and not a full-on review is because I have not yet finished the game, nor have I played the new DLC, and I want to, and I will maybe, but I just haven't yet. I promise I'm going to try very hard to finish it, and if I don't succeed, I'll make a wish to Genie Will Smith. Why Genie Will Smith? Because, well, Genie's no magic. I'll get 3 wishes, and Will Smith is Will Smith. That's the only explanation that you require. But I'm struggling to finish the game, and I'll go into detail in a bit, but suffice to say that I almost always want to be doing something else when I'm playing this game. It's good, and I don't hate it, but I feel I'm so overwhelmingly uninterested in the world and the characters that I have trouble finding any interest to continue. Before I go on, let me say this. This is not a final review, so I will preface this by saying I could completely change my mind by the end, or may have a different overall opinion by the time that I'm done. My gut reaction, though, is to tell you that it's okay. It's well put together, and I'll discuss a bit of my thoughts in a bit, starting with the visuals. As far as visual fidelity, how pretty it looks, not too bad. I'm far more struck by its art design, and it's clear that there's definitely the DNA of a Fallout game in The Outer Worlds, but it doesn't feel like a Fallout game. It feels unique, and there's not much out there that's quite like it, or looks like it. Though, maybe it's just me, but everything feels damp. It could just be the art design, but I feel like everything has this subtle glow or sheen to it, and I want to put my hand through the screen to see if it's wet or not, but obviously I can't, so I just sit there with this reaction. Well, that just looks unfortunate. There's a lot of oranges and reds and other warm colors. It makes the spaces feel lived in. Contrast this with the cold blues and purples of abandoned outposts or even overrun by Raptidon outposts. Raptidon. Which one is it? I think it's Raptidon. That sounds correct, but it also feels wrong. Like I almost shouldn't be saying it wrong. Like Raptidon, Rapscallion, Reptar. There are a lot of places that are overgrown with fauna and flora, pits of acid and creatures that are so ugly, and their purpose in life is to just try and extinguish adventurers like yourself from existence. Very nice of them, I guess. It also contrasts nicely with certain towns and hub areas. You see people just trying to live in areas that are overgrown and barely habitable, and you can get the sense that the corporate overlords that control much of the life in this game's world have abandoned most people, forcing them to fend for themselves and to rely on each other. Sometimes, not always to their benefit. Now, facial animations are fairly stiff, and so are other animations, so none of that is particularly impressive or even worth mentioning. What you do see is better than what you get in a Fallout game, but it's just a tiny bit better, but often it makes it feel like an older game. If you remember the first Mass Effect from 2007, and for the time, we were all blown away at how realistic the facial animations were and how the characters moved in conversation when they were talking. It was amazing. Yeah, this is just a bit better than that. It's not a deal breaker for me, arguably, and not super important in the grand scheme of things, but something that I want to take note of. The sound design. Let's start with voice.
Awful friendly. Welcome to Fallbrook. Only nugget of paradise in this entire law-forsaken land. Like a void damn advert.
So voice acting is good, but nobody so far has been particularly memorable, though a lot of characters I detect a bit of world wariness in their performance, almost like they know everything about this life sucks, but it's the hand we've been dealt, so what are we gonna do? Also, it does speak to Obsidian's attention to detail that, again, this is meant to be a world wherein the corporations have won and control basically everything. Good thing that can't happen in real life, right? Yeah? But often, characters you talk to will be speaking and they'll give you a task and be like, oh, by the way, before I forget, and then give you a corporate slogan or jingle, not because they want to, but because they feel that they have to.
Oh, before I forget, Anti-Cleo's makes the best pharmaceuticals in Halcyon. Better than nature. Not like that crap Spacer's Choice pedals.
Then you have the music again, which is good, but again, not super memorable. There are some noticeable highlights, of course, but I didn't find the music to be super impactful. I like the environmental music as you walk around areas and explore, but it's not something that sticks out to me. That being said, I do like the vibrant visuals of the advertisements and the billboards and neon signs and even the hum of the machines as they operate. The story, well, so far I forgot what I was even doing in the story, to be honest. I texted a friend of mine to remind me, and when he texted me back, I was actually blown away by the fact that I had forgotten that I'm supposed to be saving an entire colony from cryosleep. Again, I'm not done with the game, so I don't know how the narrative turns out. What I do know is that there's a lot of questions on how to tackle quests and objectives, or options rather, not questions, options. And there's always something I appreciate about these types of games. You frequently get choices that may have consequences with certain factions, like maybe you decide to help the Board, the mysterious shadow organization that has a grip on the corporate stranglehold of the galaxy. In the galaxy. I have trouble talking sometimes. Or maybe help the citizens of local planets and areas break free of their corporate talons. It allows you that opportunity to do it. One early quest is really cool where you can non-violently convince the corporate boss or project manager or man that's in charge. I didn't remember his title. You convince him to step down, and if your persuade skill is high enough, and if it's successful, he does. And it really speaks to why skill checks should be more consistent across RPG games. It really rewards the players for playing a certain way, or even like I did, looking for non-violent solutions that are not typical run and gun. I don't want my hand held along a linear path always. Sometimes I want the choice to follow a different one or even resolve the same conclusion in a different way. Now, I haven't really taken to any of the characters yet. Maybe Parvati and even Sam, even though Sam just loves to clean.
Thank you, customer. This area is utterly filthy.
However, Felix, I don't like him. He just bothers me. Talk about a grifter. He's patient zero. This guy stands outside your ship, asks you to hire him with no real reason, and you do, and then he judges you if you pick pro-board positions. Now, like, first off, I get it, screw the board, but you came to me for work, don't judge me, bro. Also, that's the last time I'm calling him bro. He ain't no bro to me. I'll have more to say about the characters as I continue the game and when I do a final review. The gameplay itself is pretty solid. I like tinkering and playing with the different weapons and mods and gear. See, I found the character creator itself to be a bit underwhelming, which doesn't bother me in these games as long as I can get cool armor to cover up their ugly face with. That sounds terrible. I'm not a good person. I do feel that so far none of those skills made me feel wholly unique to any of the other companions or enemies. I could usually get through pretty much every encounter without any issues or need to really focus on one particular build or playstyle, which I always feel is a hindrance to RPGs rather than a help to it. The shooting, while not something you'll find as good as that of a native first-person shooter, is pretty tight and solid and punchy even. There's tactical time dilation too, or rather, Outer Worlds version of VATS from Fallout. I actually enjoy it quite a bit here lore-wise. Its explanation is actually pretty funny, and its practical use in combat makes it even getting perks to enhance it and making it last longer a no-brainer. Melee combat I found to be rather clunky, but you'll probably not be messing with it that much, so not really a big deal. Also, the flaw system sounds really like a cool idea, right? The more you do things in a game, you activate a flaw, but some of the flaws seem more like harm than actual fun trade-off system, like where you get a perk point, but you're crippled for the rest of the game. Seems like a little too harsh of a punishment. I could see where they were going, but I usually just don't agree to the flaw and then I move on. I don't think I ever relished in the fact that I needed extra skill points or perk points. So there you have it. That's my review and progress of The Outer Worlds so far. Like I said, I haven't beaten it yet, and I hope to within the next few days or week, but we'll see. Like I said, it's a good game, but it's just not grabbing me the way that it did to others. I can see why it might be appealing, but I don't find it nearly as compelling. Also, I just want to say that the price did not factor into what I think of the game, but for $25, I think I got a pretty good deal. And after this, I'll move on to the first DLC, Peril on Gorgon. Then probably whatever DLC comes after that. Anyway, subscribe and like this video if you want. I'll see you later. Thank you. I love you. Maybe.